But Notorious Villains vs Explorer, game number 1. Let us just get our games on the road, as Fenrir is going to be holding on through in the middle with a Void Crystal to clear out the waves whenever that they can. While Explorer, well, they're doing the absolute necessary and just doing exactly what I was thinking that they would be doing. Now, to dive down a little bit more onto Explorer and the Notorious Villains lineup, Explorer does seem like they do have some control of the some control in team fights. Whenever we are coming about Purple Surprise as well as the Trap, we are not forgetting Furious Dive from Ryby, and not to forget Bento's ultimate with the Warrior. So Notorious Villains, they will have to be careful with their positioning, such as Dara now.
Indeed. Dara being caught in a 4v1. But I think that the Notorious Villains just want to go down to have a bit of a turret blading to get go itself. But also, you look at the mid lane, it's being exposed to the side of MV Fenrir and Kolya going in, being an annoyance to Pebble, who came back in time to defend the lane.
So, because of the fact that Explorer decided to rotate all the way down to the bottom and trying to push a lot of pressure onto the side of Paquito, that is going to give Notorious Villains some ways to farm, and of course some of an excuse to roam around and rule the 50 line. It shouldn't be too big of a problem. But one thing's for sure is that Paquito will definitely win against this Yuchong in his own respective lane. Void Crystal pointed out, and of course we've got Retribution to bring the total down easily, while Pebble's Meteor Shower did not even take a sliver of health away from the turtle at all. That is the first objective down in favor for Notorious Villains, nothing that we did not expect.
Yeah, but if you look at the goal, it's still tied inside with Notorious Villains just leading around 100 gold despite getting the turtle. So I think it's quite balanced for now, but slowly but surely, I think once Pebble builds up the items for Chang'e, she'll be able to chunk down, but not for now. As you look at the top lane itself, 2 members going in, they want to get the first blood onto Bento, but map awareness from Bento, he knows they are in and decided not to contest. So you can see both teams are playing a bit of a macro with the top lane being ganked. Then of course we see the bottom lane continuously being attempt to gank to bring down Dara.
Constantly being pushed up. Bottom lane's turret is not looking good. The knockout punch. Take a look at the massive amount of damage being dished right onto Dora. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any more jab. The jab will be on cooldown for 5 seconds, and Dara have no means to escape as he steps himself right onto a trap to go down to the opponent's team. In the meantime, while all of these is happening, Suna makes himself at home at the bottom lane to defend, while Ambuse makes himself busy by bringing down the top lane first tier turret. So it's a great start for Notorious Villains. They did manage to bring down a very delicate balance throughout the board by defending and putting out offense at the same time.
Indeed, with the top lane being cracked open and just around 3 minutes mark itself, I say Notorious Villains has the lead as they open up the map a bit, but Meteor Shower being popped onto the side of Pebble by going into Fenrir, taking a bit of a damage, but I think he is going to escape just fine.
There'll be no problems whatsoever at all. Notorious Villains, now the thing is, their survivability on map is definitely going to be something that the Explorer should be careful of. Both sides have got good amount of regeneration, good amount of sustainability, and of course survivability. But when it comes to damage though, Explorer will have a one-time wonder kind of thing, such as the Meteor Shower that's being popped out here, as well as maybe even the Black Dragon form. As long as both of these ultimates were baited out, the Notorious Villains may still come in to take a chance to fight against Explorer because of the general cooldown the Notorious Villains have onto their ultimate or any other major spells is generally lower.
Indeed. And with the turtle being taken by Explorer, they have around 300 gold lead as opposed to Notorious Villains now. But if you see how Explorer is playing, right, they constantly go in for the gank onto the bottom lane itself. They want to crack open the bottom lane, but meanwhile, it's also giving time for Monchichi to be able to farm out his items as a carry.
The Mountain Shocker from the side of Suna has opened up the map, allowing them to understand the Explorer is heading down to the bottom. The Red Serpent emerges and it's gonna be right in front of the turret, while everyone from Notorious Villains is just hammering all the damage onto him. So he's going to be the sandbag of Explorer while they take the turret. So it is a trade in this very essence. I don't actually like what they did there. Like, I personally think that Ryby stood a very good chance against Notorious Villains. He held on very long. Explorer just need to take an inch or rather even a step forward and they could do quite a number on the side of Notorious Villains.
Whoa! Just a slither of health left as Abuse goes in. He managed to tag onto Carry, but Carry managed to escape with that slither of health as 3 members on the team share the damage coming in from Hayabusa. But man, that is one Hayabusa with the damage itself. But Monchichi still trying to farm up, do not want to go back into the bases. He almost get caught by Abuse just yet again.
This is just the start for this Hayabusa. Do note that Hayabusa is pretty darn scary in the later stages of the game. Mid stages of the game, it is all about split pushing. And I can see that Notorious Villains may be looking at that split pushing as part of their win conditions. Explorer though, they are quite a turtling strat, right? While Bento as well as Ryby, they can handle themselves pretty well. They can hold their own lanes pretty well. But all in all, if they do not have Bento or perhaps even Ryby up in front, then Pebbles and Monchichi will find themselves in grave trouble because Hayabusa can just come in from behind, like exactly what you see here as Abuse takes 2 easy kills off of the heads of Dora as well as Monchichi. Now that is jinx.
What a good bait coming in from the side of Fenrir and Collier. They soak up so much damage and baited literally 3 members of Explorer into the fight itself, where then Abuse comes in to tag onto the members. So really good play coming from Notorious Villains.
This is a whole different ball game from Explorer. They need to find a different way to encounter and fight against Notorious Villains because their strategy against impunity will very unlikely work here. They're doing their very best to hold out the lanes to ensure that they still... Oh! The real world manipulation slowly withers the health away from Pebbles and there was just not much that he could do to get out from the area of effect. Notorious Villains slowly is taking this game by the scruff of Explorer's neck by taking turrets after kills after turrets after kills.
Well, I think the only consolation for the side of Pebble is that he managed to defend onto the mid lane itself, but you can see, I can understand why both teams, they actually desperately want to defend the lane, but Dara coming in from the knock and managed to knock onto the side of Popo.
Yeah, so the thing about this, right, even having the first tier turret in the middle, it doesn't necessarily remove Notorious Villains' pressure out of the equation just yet, because the only one person that will make the 2 turret down at the top so beneficial is because of Abuse. He can just storm his way all around the opponent's jungle. He can open up the map really well with all of the quad shadows to ensure that he get a really safe getaway, but also split pushing, and if Explorer tries to defend in middle again, he can just go right in and deal whatever damage that he desires from his shurikens as well as his success shadow kill, which makes things really tough for Explorer.
Yep, you look at Dara itself getting such amazing knockup onto the side. You're practically bullying him in his lane itself, and he has to actually pop the Vengeance to soak up the damage coming in from the Paquito.
There's nothing that I find surprising. Paquito is a band that is heavily banned after all, and is a pretty darn scary pick. That's a really good stun right on top of Pebble, but unfortunately Pebble did manage to get himself just a foot away from the real world manipulation. If not, that would have been the death of Pebble once again. And now the turret is going to be under siege, and now another one of the first tiers is now destroyed. Unfortunate for the side of Explorer, they are slowly losing their gains here. They're slowly losing their footing as Notorious Villains is slowly heading themselves in onto the side of Explorer. The Raid Serpent emerges, trying to get himself right in front of the enemies, but here we go. The knockout punch from Dara is just doing a little bit too much damage for their own liking, and the burst damage that Tsuna, Abuse and Dara, they are able to bring out everything and just wipe Explorer out of this map.
Well, not surprised there, because if you look at the goal lead itself, right, Notorious Villains playing a very aggressive kind of composition, the Hayabusa, especially just not giving Explorer the space to farm. And for the side of Monchichi, he constantly has to to find space for the carry to build up his items. But you look at Notorious players playing the aggressive gameplay starting to pay off as they control the majority of the map now at a 10 minutes mark. So this potentially just opens up so much for them to farm out the jungle for on the side of Explorer.
Highly offensive gameplay the Notorious villains have put up, and nothing surprising, right? They are very decked out in damage. Oh, it does seem like that is a pretty decent meteor shower, and he's managed to put Fenrir all the way behind with his back against the wall. But unfortunately, here comes the real world manipulation by Ryby. He's not getting the right people. He's going in for Cody and Suna, but he's completely forgetting Fenrir at all. He is still alive though, but there is just not much impact that he managed to put into the game, into that specific team fight. But alas, they still managed to get away from the grasp of Notorious villains, but no kills for themselves, and that is a loss all in all.
Yeah, but I think that Explorer managed to fight back onto the game itself, but they have to continue to fight back, especially with the Lord coming into that 12 minutes mark where it's going to be, a Mega Lord. And that side itself, they have to make some plays for now, Explorer.
10 seconds left. 10 seconds left. And the Lord will be enhanced. But unfortunately, Notorious villains, they're just kind of tough to handle, right? They're just opening the map so much. So now with the Mountain Shocker that allows him to have vision all around the map as to understand where Explorer is. And that is going to help them take the Lord pretty darn easily as Hayabusa pushes up to the bottom lane, forces Ryby to make his way down to the bottom. And this fight is going to be a 4v4, which Notorious Villains is not gonna find any issue with. And Mbuse comes in from behind. He's trying to get himself a quad shadow around top of Dora, but unfortunately Ryby with a furious dive gets him right out of the game. That was a good backup from the side of Explorer. In fact, it's phenomenal. And this is going to push Notorious Villains away by a little bit to ensure that they don't get the Lord that easily.
Indeed, a really good play coming from the side of Ryby, defending his members, the squishier members, and managed to take down on the Hayabusa itself. And this potentially opens up the Lord for Explorer to take, but will Explorer be able to take on to the Lord itself? As the Lord is left with almost a chunk. Dara going in for the knockup itself, but did not manage to connect. But you can see the fight is so segregated as Rep gets punished with a solo kill, but Explorer managed to take on to the Lord. That's a good fight overall for Explorer.
And just like that, Explorer with one man down, Notorious with one man down, but unfortunately it does seem like Explorer is not going all the way back into the base, as Explorer has yet lost 2 more people for themselves on their own name. And Notorious Villains, they're definitely going to be taking this lead. They're definitely going to be pushing whenever that they can. And top lane, middle lane, bottom lane, wherever it goes, this is where things are definitely going to get wild. As Explorer, they stole the Lord all in all, but it shouldn't be too big of a problem.
I mean, the only kind of consolation is that they hold on to the game for Explorer enough time, hopefully, for the members of Explorer to build up. As carry, is going to be a late game monster. And I think that potentially all Explorer has to do is to drag the game at least just 5 more minutes for carry to build out the items.
Lord was quickly taken care of. I mean, we're talking about Hayabusa, we're also talking about Yves, so they can bring down the Lord whenever they want. But we are looking at a 14 minutes game. Notorious Villains currently with 6 turrets down, while the Explorer only had 1 turret. When we are looking into the later stages of the game, they gotta have to be careful though, because Notorious Villains, even though they are snowballing in the early game, they still have got way better skilling than Explorer have got in total. We are looking at Suna, right? We're looking at Yi Sun Shin. We're looking at a Hayabusa. We're also looking at the Paquito. Paquito does really well in the late stage of the game. As long as he's got a survivability, he can constantly be pushing out all the knockout punches whenever that he wants, and that is going to set the pace of a single fight itself.
Right.
As Bento now is going to be completely caught up by 4 of the members, there's really nothing they can do. Not much sustain should be able to get him right out of that pickle.
Yeah, but I don't know why Explorer is invading such such territory of Notorious Villains. But thankfully, for the side of Pebble, he managed to TP back in time. If not, it would be unfortunate for the team to get caught in such position, especially at such a late game.
And here we go. The meteor shower has been used, it has been popped, it has been baited. It is going to be a fight. It's going to be ensued by Notorious Villains. Most of Notorious Villains have popped up with the Holy Healing. They wanted to go on the engage in the initiation, but unfortunately Explorer were a little bit too fast on their feet and they manages to get themselves away from the grasp of Notorious Villains. Now, Notorious Villains, they are just trying to play it slow and safe because they know that they scale way better than Explorer. That really isn't a need to go overly greedy and just trying to end the game right there and then.
Yeah, but if you look at the game, right, Abstract, the game has dragged so long. We're at 16 minutes now, and I believe that if this has allowed Explorer to scale pretty much back into the game itself, and I think that it's really anyone's game. If Notorious Villains were to make a mistake, I think that Explorer might have the chance to win this back.
That is a chance, but the chance is very slim, I dare say. But Bento being caught out by the Mountain Shocker, it shouldn't be too big of a problem, but Kolya pretty much knows where he is. A lot of split pushing mechanics that Notorious Villains is trying to adopt for themselves, but the initiation is going to be happening right on top of Kolya. His HP is pretty much all the way down low. The Red Serpent emerges right onto Suna. Will they be able to get the kill right down? As Ryby still tip cave, trying to go for more. His HP is down low, Vengeance pops, 1v2, but his HP is still going up from the shower residue that he popped up for himself. Still TK be the one to finally put the end down onto Dara as Monchichi takes the final hit of that gruesome fighter. Explorer, it doesn't seem like they are right out of the game just yet. Until now, as we do have his Satsu Shadow Kill outed onto the side of Monchichi. But it doesn't seem like most of the Satsu Shadow Kill is the one that dealt the damage onto the Monchichi. In the end, it has gotta be Fenrir that dealt the finishing blow. 17 minutes in, 14-6, with Notorious Villains Notorious Villains hammering down onto the Lord.
I mean, that's unfortunate for Monchichi to be able to be caught by Hayabusa at this very moment, especially they won the previous team fight itself, but it also allowed Notorious Villains to have that opening to take up this Lord. The next Lord itself is going to be an even enhanced Lord pushing into the lanes of Explorer. But I mean, thankfully they have the Chang'e, still able to use the Meteor Shower to defend and also Ryby onto the Yuzong itself.
What they can do over here is they can try to engage against Explorer and kind of bait out Pebble to use the Meteor Shower before he can completely burst the Lord down. Because this has got to be Notorious Villains' way of winning, right? Their win con. Because they don't have a lot of crowd control. They can't exactly stop Pebble. The only thing that they have is going to be Dara, right? Yep. Dara with the knockout punches.
Yep.
But they're not forcing it.
They're not forcing it because they have, top left and bottom, the turrets are actually pushing in, and I think that it's going to be crack open the mid as Hayabusa tries to tag onto any members but only managed to find Rhea. With the Vengeance going in, it's going to be a 3v1, my friend Rhea. A good attempt for you. The long sustain coming in, but your members are left to defend for the side of Explorer.
Bento is going to be the last man remaining to be the one that takes up the front lines, but unfortunately the core is currently down to 50%. Are they still hammering down to the core though? It's still 50%. They're still A-okay, and Boost goes down. Fenrir is going to be the next one in the line of Monchichi's eyes, but unfortunately Dara trying to go for the knockout punch, wasn't able to land it down onto Monchichi. HP is still up high, 80%. The turret in the bottom lane is going to go down or not. The defense from Explorer definitely paid out dividends, and the top lane and the middle lane, unfortunately, still went down. The base of Explorer is almost barren now. Notorious Villains, they just need one single good push. Yeah, and that is all that is required.
Yeah, but like I say, this is when, the carry starts to be online. As 4 members onto the side of Explorers goes crashing in to the mid lane of Notorious Villains with the side of Fenrir and Ambu still not yet back into the game itself. Can Explorer capitalize on this as they go into the mid Meteor Shower being pot zoning the members? They cannot defend this one, but it's enough, I feel that Explorer has done their job. They managed to win onto the fight itself, and if you look now at 20 minutes, the goal doesn't really matter. I think most of the team from Explorer has catch up in terms of the goal and the itemization.
So here's the thing, right? Top lane, middle lane inhibitor turret is down. Bottom lane inhibitor turret is pretty much one hit away. There isn't a lot of turrets for Explorer to hold on to for themselves. The only thing that could deal an additional damage, or rather a lot of damage, is going to be the core. But we can pretty much be expecting that Notorious Villian will be 5 men going all in onto the side of the core, unless Ryby does a phenomenal job in zoning Suna away, which is something that Explorer did. They managed to do that. Ryby held his own against Suna and one more person for a good 5 seconds. That could be go time for Explorer to deal with the opponent's frontliners, and in that very case, usually it is going to be, well, Dara as well as perhaps even Emboost.
Yeah, but I think Ryup, he actually started to build 2 very tanky items. In fact, he picked up the Curse Helmet, and all he has is the Bloodlost Axe as a kind of item for him. So he's going very super defensive, just going in to soak up all the skills coming in from Notorious Villains, and they managed to catch out onto Kolya itself. But the real manipulation going in itself is going to catch out onto Dora.
That is going to be a sliver of health kind of Dora. It does seem like the Red Serpent has been initiated as well, putting a timer onto Ryby's unfortunate ultimate. Bottom lane inhibitor turret has been destroyed while Explorer were a little bit too obsessed with the top lane skirmish, and the Lord also has appeared. So Explorer, they have to engage in this fight without the Red Serpent, and that is going to be tough, and they definitely will want to challenge this.
Yeah, they definitely want to challenge this, but Ryup, he doesn't have his ultimate yet. He's going to take a U-turn to camp into the bushes. They might want to delay this lot, as whoever who take this lot itself most likely will have a lot of control over this game. But I mean, for the side of Dora, he actually pops his immortality. So that's one tank without immortality for this very, very crucial fight as they go in to restart the Lord again.
Oh, eyes on Dara, eyes on Dara, immediately going in for double knockout punch onto Monchichi, but unfortunately he does not have enough burst. Flickers away, he's A-OK, he still has immortality, but a real world manipulation manipulates the entire team on the battlefield with a kill down on the Dora. No immortality, so he's A-OK. Ryby back in front, gets a kill on the Dora, gets a kill on the Kolya. A-OK. Coming up next, 3 more, as Dara currently still have got himself a decent amount of kills. Oh, it does seem like it's going to be a 1v1 by itself. We are looking at a 2-fight going on as Emboost, he's trying to push. We still got this Bento trying to hold on to his own, but unfortunately, the ballistas just hammering down onto the core. But fortunately for Explorer, Ryby came back right in time with the steel tip cape and allowed him to clear out the entire wave. And Emboost, man oh man, with a sliver of health as well. Farron coming up next, Monchichi breaks him down. That is definitely one thing that you would want to have from the side of Explorer. 3 men killed and even a free Lord.
I mean, is it a free Lord? Because Notorious Villains are well known for the Lord stealing as soon as pops back into the Lord pit itself, but I don't think that they will manage to take this one. Explorer,
they will.
They took the Lord. Like I say, carry, you need to give carry, you need to drag the game, and Explorer, they have done it. They have dragged the game long enough for Monchichi to come online.
This is not the kind of game that I was expecting. You know, I'm looking at Emboost, I'm looking at Asuna, I'm looking at Dara. They all skill pretty darn well. Perhaps at this point of time, Dara just could not burst Monchichi down anymore, right? He can't go in a single manhunt mission. And because of that single manhunt mission, it almost cost his life. He popped off.
He definitely popped off, and Pebble has popped off. In fact, they have given Pebble the buff constantly so that his cooldown onto the meteor shower is really low with this Lord coming in. Dora just finding anyone to bite, and thus onto the Kohler itself. They have the meteor shower. I'm pretty sure this is going to crack open the mid lane, and the real manipulation being popped onto the side of Eve itself, but did not manage to connect onto anyone with the Lord still pretty healthy in the mid lane. But you have to disengage, Bando. Get out.
Bento. He did manage to get out. Wait, they're re-engaging. Are they really going for this? Is this really the way that the Notorious Villains is gonna go down? As we do have one man, Dara, taking one man for himself. Kolia is dead, unfortunately. One man down, Immortality Pop. Bento hits down. They brings the inhibitor turret down. Bento, he goes down to that mountain shocker. And Explorer, they should be more than happy in order to bring down the middle and the bottom lane inhibitor turret. But Notorious Villains, they say no, you won't get out. Immortality Pop, they're gonna go in. We've got another kill popping up, coming in from Imboost, and it's already 2 men down from Explorer. Yep. They're finding all kinds of ways in order to get themselves back in the game. Who would have thought that a game between Notorious Villains and Explorer would be such a tight match?
Oh well, overall really good play. So intense coming in from the both team. It's a Pebble trying to pop the Umplinner to take away the red buff, but did not manage to do so. But I think that Explorer, they got what they wanted. They cracked open the mid lane. In fact, now they are neck and neck.
Oh no.
They're neck and neck practically.
This is absolutely insane, right? The Lord was practically rushing in into the middle. Explorer didn't want to do nothing with the Lord. They wanted to get back. Bento HP was so low already, but Ryby said, nope, we are going right in. And Pebble even had the meteor shower in order to provide more artillery backup. But that is the point of time where Bento could not stretch any more thinner. He managed to help assist to bring down the inhibitor turret down bottom, but that is going to put a timer onto his head because of the mountain shocker. And Notorious Villains would definitely be pretty darn happy with that small little pick-off. In fact, not very small. It is rather detrimental.
Yep, I mean for both teams now, since they are neck and neck in terms of the turret as well, the next lot spawning in 50 seconds is going to determine everything. And if you notice, Abstract, Suna hasn't died yet onto the Eastern ship in to find Korea.
The one that does the most damage though, I do have a feeling that Pebbles is just melting everyone down. Like, yes, Monchichi definitely does have his own causes and he definitely does have his own damage control, but when it comes to the bulk of the damage throughout the entire battlefield, Pebble is probably the one that's just zoning everyone out and making them extremely afraid.
Indeed. And you can see that Embassy constantly being passed onto the bottom lane itself, hopefully to get that split push and to end the game itself. And that's how it's going to be in terms of the game plan, constantly going on to the bottom lane, trying to catch any members down. So this fight itself, it's really important for both sides of the team.
This is really bad for Notorious Villains, right? They had a completely barren wasteland on their opponent's side, and yet they choked. They choked pretty badly, like as though Darth Vader came around the corner and just decided to go put on the force onto them. So it's rather tough to say this. Suna, he is now going to put out a retaliation action onto Dora. He's trying to do so much to kill Dora though, but Dora comes right in! There we go! The first kill incoming! The mountain of damage that Pebbles is able to dish right through onto Kolia. We still got the immortality up though, but all eyes on Ryby, all eyes on the Abuse Dizzy. He managed to push himself all the way down to the bottom, but he's just going to get the more attention from the side of Bento. So they're breaking the formations coming from the side of Explorer, right? So Bento as well as Ryby, they're supposed to be neck and neck together, jump onto the opponent's side, but because of whatever the Abuse is able to bring onto the board, he has to always force Bento to go to the back lines to go and defend instead of joining Ryby in action.
Indeed, and right now Notorious Villains, knowing that Dora is down, this is the opportunity to go in for the fight itself.
Oh no, this is not good! And Ryby is going to be the first one to be taken down, but in the meantime, coming in from the backline, it does seem like we're going to be looking at his Assassin Shadow kill that gets the kill on the Pebbles! Ryby, Dora, Pebbles, they're all down! They don't care about the Lord at all! Why do you have to care about the Lord? So just head right in, pushing right into the top lane, and that is going to be a kill right on top of Bento, as we do have the higher boost that is just going to be swarming around as we have the Notorious Villains that immediately pick up game number 1 after a grueling fight.
My, what a fight coming in from